Hello friends, thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to be able to read Miss Spider's Tea Party. Wow, looking at this picture, I'm wondering, what could a spider be doing with tea? What do you think? Okay, here we go. One lonely spider sipped her tea while gazing at the sky. She watched the insects on the leaves and many flying by. Ooh, what words did you just hear that rhymed? I heard sky and by. If I had friends like these, she sighed, who'd stay a while with me, I'd sit them down on silken chairs and serve them cakes and tea. Two timid beetles, Ike and May, crept from the woodwork that same day. But when Miss Spider begged, please stay, they shrieked, oh no, and dashed away. Why do you think the beetles wouldn't want to stay with Spider? Three fireflies flew inside that night, their spirits high, their tails alight. They spied the web and squeaked in fear, we'd better get away from here. The little trio decided not to feel they'd care to be a spider's meal. Ooh, maybe that's why the other bugs didn't want to stay as well. They're worried Spider might eat them. 4 bumblebees buzzed by outside. Please come to tea, Miss Spider cried. The 4 ignored her, swaying there. She waved a tea towel in the air. She took a cup and tapped the glass. The one bee spoke to her at last. We would be fools to take our tea with anyone so spidery. If you look closely at Spider's face, what do you notice? How do you think Spider's feeling right now? Within the shadows of the room, just peeking from behind a broom, 5 grinning faces bobbed and peered. Miss Spider smiled, her heart was cheered, descending for a closer look that's coming down from her web. She danced into the gloomy nook, but sadly found these jolly mugs belonged, alas, to rubber bugs. They weren't real, they were toy bugs. Some ants strode in, they numbered 6. They were walking in, strode means walking. But ants with spiders will not mix. She brewed them tea from hips of roses. The proud platoon turned up their noses. They're saying, I don't want your tea. A fine bouquet concealed its prize of 7 dainty butterflies. Can you find all the butterflies? Look close at the picture and see if you can count 7. Miss Spider, watching from the wall, was not aware of them at all. The tea was set for 8, with saucers, cups, and silver plate. Ooh, what rhymed with plate? What word did you hear that rhymed with plate? The cakes were fresh, the service gleamed, yet one would not arrive, it seemed. Her company in no demand left her a cup for every hand. Why would the author say that there's a cup for every hand? How many legs do you see that Spider has? And how many cups do you notice are at the table? Nine spotted moths kept safe and warm in shelter from a thunderstorm. They stood beneath an open sash and watched the jagged lightning flash. Miss Spider dropped down on her thread, a silver tray above her head. She'd hoped to please them, but instead... Ooh, this would be a great spot for a prediction. What do you think Miss Spider's going to do? So she has moths here, And the last line said she hoped to please them, but instead, what do you think is going to happen next? Let's find out. They flew away in mortal dread. That means they were scared. If you look at their faces, you can tell that they're afraid. They've left me all alone, she cried. She dabbed her eyes and sadly sighed. It's plain no bug will ever stay. Her tears splashed down upon the tray. 10 tiny steaming cups of tea were perched atop her trembling knee. She sipped and sobbed, then heard a cough, and turned to see a small, wet moth. A fragile thing so soaked by rain, his wings too damp to fly again. She smiled and took a checkered cloth, the cloak, the frail and thankful moth. Why would the moth be thankful? What did Spider do for the moth? They talked and snacked on tea and pie until his tiny wings were dry. Then lifting him with tender care, she tossed him gently in the air. The moth told Ike, then Ike told May, who went from bucket to bug to say, there is no reason for alarm. She never meant us any harm. So later on that afternoon, assembled in the dining room, 11 insects came to tea to share Miss Spider's courtesy. Why were the spider and the bugs not afraid anymore? Why were the insects not afraid of Spider? "12 tender violets in a vase, presented at Miss Spider's place, set by her chair so neatly spun." If you look behind, you can see in the details from the illustration that the illustrator drew a spider web for her seat. Set by her chair so neatly spun, she munched the blossoms one by one. Her friends were glad to watch her feast upon the floral centerpiece. It was a great relief to see. She ate just flowers and drank just tea. Miss Spider's reputation grew. Before too long, our hostess knew each bug who crawled or hopped or flew, and all their lovely children too. What did they know about Miss Spider now? That's the end of our story. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you again soon.